session. So that way we can be able to post it on the website, and so that way future parties can be able to take a look at it and get up to speed as quick as possible. All right, so first and foremost, you just want to kind of talk about today. We're talking about the Willamette Water Supply Program water treatment plant. Specifically, we're going to be talking about Division 32, which is the exterior improvements, which includes everything from landscaping to fencing to roadways and curb and gutter, basically the beautification of the site. Kind of a housekeeping note here is please mute your line and turn off any video feeds that you may have. So that way we can make sure that we maintain bandwidth and make sure that the recording goes as smooth as possible. So introductions. My name is Michael Nair. I'm I work for Sundt Construction. I'm one of the project managers involved with the project. And then on the phone with us as well is Jared Wagner. He is a fellow project manager as well. And then our boss, Dave Fagerstrom, is not able to attend today. And then not online with us today is Matthew Gribbins. He is the programs project manager. He's essentially Dave Fagerstrom's counterpart. And then please use this email, these email contacts here. If you wish to reach out to us or to Matt directly, we can make sure that we answer any questions that you may have offline if you don't want to ask us during the presentation here. So first off, a little bit about Sundt. So Sundt was founded in 1890. And right now we're headquartered out of Tempe, Arizona. Which is a suburb here of Phoenix, and we've done work in most across the U.S. And in the states shown here in red are where we actually have active projects right now, and the black dots that you see on there are office locations that we have throughout the Western United States. Another unique fact about Sundt is that we are 100% employee owned, and unlike most employee owned companies, all down to our is not restricted just to administrative staff. It actually goes down to all of our craft folk as well. So our laborers and finishers and other trades folk that work directly for Sundt are part of our ESOP program and our employee owners as well. So the agenda for today, we every meeting we start off with a safety share. It's the most important thing we do every day. So we want to make sure that we tackle that first and foremost before we move on to anything else. We'll do a quick project overview and also as well discuss the project schedule. We'll go through bid schedule and bid opportunities as it relates to Division 32. We'll go over to a brief description of instructions to bidders and exhibits, kind of what you would expect on bid day, as well as the bid form. And then we'll go through some deferred or delegated design responsibility that'll be the responsibility of the Division 31 contractor. Then we'll go into in-depth review of Division 31 scope of work, and then open it up for any questions and answers at the end. All right, so safety share for this week. Innovative PPE. So this picture kind of shows is a great paints a great picture of the innovation of PPE over time, right? On the right hand side there's where hard hats were even 15-20 years ago. The middle is kind of where most of the industry is at now, and then on the left hand side is kind of where the industry is heading. There are a few contractors out there that are the tip of the spear as it relates to kind of adopting this new innovative PPE of hard hats. And typically the rest of the industry tends to follow those leaders within a few years. So what we want to talk about today is, specifically innovative PPE as it relates to these hard hats. What we've found through analysis of not only our safety, but also through industry leaders, is that when working from heights, and you fall from a height, you're more likely to lose your hard hat in the event of a fall and hit your head, which really defeats the whole purpose of the hard hat, right? It's supposed to protect your head. Um, and right now, primarily hard hats, because the really only good use for a hard hat now is really to prevent dropped items. So if someone's working above you and were to drop an item, it would hit the hard hat rather than hitting your skull. um, so in order to kind of tackle or address the issue of hard hats falling off during an event, a fall event, is Sundt is requiring that Sundt personnel um, utilize chin straps, and we're recommending that our subcontractors and trade partners follow suit. That way, the hard hat is truly doing its duty of protecting your head during a fall event as well as during a dropped item event. And really, that's right now they make attachments for the standard hard hat in the middle, and as well as the kind of I'll say the old school skull cap that iron workers tend to wear. That they do make attachments that you can be able to add on for a chin strap, but the new innovative style, the rock climber type helmets, have integral chin straps as part of it, as well as they're much more comfortable than your standard hard hat. Lots of foam and everything like that, rather than just a little hammock that supports your head. Yeah, so that's really our safety share for today. Just wanting to bring something new to everybody. All right, moving on to project overview. So this water treatment plant that we're talking about today is a small piece of a very large program that the owner has going on. The owner is the Willamette Water Supply Commission, which is a conglomerate of the Tualatin Valley Water District, the city of Hillsborough, and the city of Beaverton. They've combined forces to be able to manage and fund this large program, which is really a new freshwater distribution system throughout the western suburbs of Portland. The program value is roughly about $1.3 billion. It includes a raw water facility, which is down at the Willamette River, down in Wilsonville. From there, it pumps about 8 miles up to the water treatment plant, which is located right here where my cursor is showing. And then from there, distributes another 30 or so miles of pipeline throughout the suburbs, out up to Beaverton and out to Hillsborough. And also to a reservoir that is being constructed in right around Beaverton area. But today we're specifically talking about the water treatment plant, which is again located right here. One thing we want to point out to everyone that this project was procured as a CMGC delivery method. Others know it in the industry as a CMAR, CM at risk method. Sundt had to propose for the project and was awarded the project, and we were brought in early during design phase to be able to provide constructability expertise, as well as doing pricing exercises to be able to make sure that as the design progressed that we had a firm understanding of where costs were going to be. So this right here is where the water treatment plant is. Zooming a little bit closer, the red box here on the picture is the exact location of where the water treatment is going to be. It is located about half mile south of the Tualatin Sherwood Road and 124th Street intersection. This site was specifically chosen because it is an outcrop of basalt bedrock that the plant is designed to sit directly on this bedrock for seismic reasons. That's really the whole the major design decision of this plant and this entire system, is to be a resilient system and plant during a major seismic event. This site is currently it's a greenfield site. It's heavily forested, so one of the first things we'll have to do is go in and deforest everything. We'll have a lot of drill and blast that has to happen to level out this bedrock outcropping and to be able to build the structures. Zooming in a little bit closer, you can kind of see the project overlaid with the existing kind of foundation or the existing forest here. And as I mentioned earlier, it's right off of 124th Street is going to be where the main entrance is onto a new road called Ore Drive or Ore Road. Sorry. So the project itself is about 23 acres. There's multiple treatment areas on the site. It includes a 10,000 square foot administration building. It also has about 40,000 cubic yards of concrete, and that 40,000 includes both structural and I'll call it site paving, curb and gutter, sidewalks and stuff. The structural concrete is roughly about 32 or 33,000 yards. So the remaining 7 or 8,000 yards is sidewalks, curb and gutter, and other site improvements. Approximate earthwork quantities is 65,000 yards of cut and fill, 180,000 yards of structural excavation, and 120,000 yards of pipe excavation. There's also $20 to $24 million in process equipment that will be directly purchased by Sundt on this project, and the install will be done by the process equipment package. There's a 10 million gallon pre-stressed concrete reservoir, which is this large circular structure shown on the picture, as well as there's multiple pre-engineered metal buildings kind of throughout the campus. And there's multiple building trade opportunities that can be able to be bid on. So going to the project schedule. So the project we're expecting to kick off here in first quarter of 2022. And like most wastewater type jobs, it does have kind of a long burn. Right now we're expecting is the site grading and paving, hardscape and miscellaneous site appurtenances, irrigation and landscaping will be occurring in roughly first quarter to second quarter of 2024. And we need to be done with that by the end of 2024, beginning of 2025. All right, bid schedule and bid opportunities. So GMP, we have two GMPs on this job. Really what a GMP is basically a bidding phase. So the first bidding phase, GMP 1, is bidding here in officially starts next Friday, is when it advertises with bids due on November 4th. And then GMP2, which is really this later work that we're talking about today, we're planning to bid in roughly April of advertised in 2023 with bids due middle of 2023. The reason why we've decided to postpone the bidding of this scope of work out till then is really we want to try to minimize the amount of impact that inflation is going to have, but also, it's also unfair for us to be able to ask subcontractors to hold their price or to lock you guys into a price, 2 years in advance of you performing your work. So we want to be able to, we're going to bid this scope out in 2023. So that way we're able to get more competitive pricing in the environment of when the work will be happening. So project delivery, as I discussed earlier, this is a GMP, guaranteed maximum price that we have to provide to the owner. What that includes is 70 plus work category packages that are spread out across these two GMPs. And those work categories, each one of those will have a defined scope of work. So landscaping, for example, will have a very specific scope of work of what you're to be bidding on, and that scope of work helps provide the parameters and the boundaries of what your bid includes. Most of all of the landscaping package will be bid as a low bid most responsive selection. So what that means is really the lowest bid that incorporates the entirety of the scope is the company that will most likely be selected for that scope. So this is, as mentioned earlier, Sundt has been doing a lot of cost estimating for the client. And right now our current projections are showing that site improvements is right about $7.5 million to $8 million range. The bid packages that will be coming out, we'll have a bid package for paving and surfacing, another package for curb, gutter, and sidewalks, one for striping and signage, another one for chain links and fencing and gates, and then another one for landscaping. So even though they are multiple work packages, you can be able to bid on multiple work packages. You're not bound to only bidding on one. But each work package will have its own bid form that you will have to provide a bid on the given form for that work category. All right, so on to instructions to bidders. So what to expect on bid day? We'll have, there'll be quite a bit of information that will be provided to you. The first being the invitation and instructions to bidders, which I have a slide right after this one, which I'll go into that one in more depth. The detailed scopes of work. So as I mentioned earlier, it's really to the inclusions and exclusions for that work package that you're bidding on to help provide the parameters of what you need to pick up in your price. The specific bid form, which has been customized for that each work category package. Exhibits and attachments, which I'll go over here in another slide as well, so a little bit more in depth on that. A detailed construction schedule. So we've developed a detailed Gantt chart style schedule using Primavera P6, and that will be provided to all the bidders to be able to for your reference during bid time. Of course, all the drawings and specifications, the geotechnical reports, and then other supplemental information such as site logistics and laydown plans, startup and commissioning plans, etc. So the instructions to bidders, so really the whole purpose of this is really to be clear in our communication of what you all should expect, defining what our expectations of you are, but also to help level the playing field of what your expectations of us should be. So in this, we'll define, what the bid documents and bidding procedures are. We do discuss about substitutions. The specs do call out, specific makes and models of different, different items. But obviously, if there's a substitution that you find that meets the requirements of the spec, but is not currently listed, then we do ask that those substitutions are brought to our attention during bid time, so we can be able to review that with the design team and make a decision if we're willing to accept that substitution. The bidding requirements, so milestones of when our bids due, when our RFIs due, what's the cutoff date for us to issue addendums to you, and then also a subcontractor pre-qualification, which is pretty standard across the industry. General contractors requiring subcontractors to do a pretty simple pre-qualification process of needing to understand your current financial status, need to understand your current safety status, your EMAR rate, and stuff like that. So pretty simple process to be able to go through. It shouldn't take more than 15-20 minutes. Project requirements and procedures, talking about statement of work, how submittals and schedule be managed on the job, project closeout, WIFIA requirements. So WIFIA is a federal funding program that the owner has elected to receive funds from, and with that, we're tied to some certain reporting procedures that WIFIA mandates, as well as we have to abide by Davis-Bacon prevailing wages, and also the American Iron and Steel Act, which is somewhat like a Buy American, a little bit different caveats to that, but basically all manufactured steel and iron products have to be American produced, American made. But there are some caveats where if certain things just aren't produced in America, obviously you can't be held to it. So AIS has a very defined rules of what needs to be done and the parameters of what you have to do. And then along with that as well, as we are also bound to Oregon prevailing wages. So the way, so everyone's going to be held to both Davis-Bacon and Oregon prevailing wages. What this means is that, let's say let's take a laborer, for example, and if the laborer's rate is higher in Davis-Bacon than prevailing wage, then you follow Davis-Bacon, and vice versa if Oregon prevailing wage is higher. We'll also discuss, go over the warranty information, insurance information, and then the bidding documents. Exhibits and attachments. So I know this is a pretty long list, but really these are just kind of the attachments are information that's given to you during bid time, but will not become contractual, such as we provide some matrix to you all to kind of help define what bid alternates are on the job, the scope bid form, sample agreements of our purchase order and standard subcontract. All of the exhibits, so exhibits A through R, will be a part of the contract, and each one of those we'll provide with during the bid time, so you all can review it and obviously ask us any questions of what those are. If you want to know more about attachments and exhibits and really the whole bidding process, feel free to go back onto the Our Reliable website. And if you go to the very first week, we went through a pretty extensive effort of explaining each of these attachments, exhibits, what's going to be associated with each of these. So feel free to go ahead back and review that recording. All right, and bid forms. So in the bid form here, whoop, why is that working? Oh, it's all right. So apparently the bid form is not working right now. But as I mentioned earlier, each work category package will have a defined bid form that will need to be filled out, and really just kind of breaks down of how we want to see the pricing from you all to make sure that when we get pricing from all the bidders, we're able to easily compare apples to apples to be able to make sure that that the entirety of the scope is picked up. And if there happens to be an anomaly in one person's bid versus another, it'll kind of raise a red flag, and we can be able to dig into it to figure out why is someone's pricing in for a specific item 5 times than anyone else. We could dig into it and figure out was something misinterpreted or something of the sort like that. So it allows us to be able to digest the information quickly and easily and be able to vet it out as quick as possible. All right, so now I'm going to we're going to transition more into the scope of work, and I'll pass it off to Jared to talk through these items.
Okay, sure. So as we discussed, there's a number of different delegated or deferred design requirements on the job. So go ahead and go to the next slide here. So with those deferred or delegated designs, the requirement there is that they be stamped and sealed by a professional engineer licensed in the state of Oregon. Across the job, there's quite a few of these delegated or deferred design items. Relative to our discussion today, there's really only 2 that we need to look at, which is the landscape and irrigation and the forest platform. And I'll show you some details a little bit on that forest platform whenever we get into the landscape scope of work. But really what that means is just that the subcontractor responsible for it is responsible for completing the design on each of those items in conjunction with what the engineer has already laid out for the job. All right. So going into the specific scopes within Division 31 for exterior improvements, like we discussed, this Division 31 portion of the specification is going to be broken up into a number of different work packages. The first set of work packages, and I've encapsulated most of that information in this first 2 slides, is for paving and surfacing, curb gutter sidewalk, and striping and signage. So those will be 3 distinct work packages that we'll issue out to be bid on. So within the paving and surfacing, the highlighted green area is the portion of the plant that's going to receive AC paving. It's about 230,000 square feet of AC paving. So that scope of work for the AC paving would also include setting the aggregate base and the geotextile fabric. So on the bottom left is a screenshot of a fairly typical profile for the paving that's going to be on the plant sites. We have subgrade geotextile, about 9 inches of AB, and 5 inches of asphalt on top of that. Earthwork would bring the subgrade to within plus or minus 1/10 of that, and then the asphalt paving would take it over from there. There's about 16,500 square feet of concrete paving around the site. That's for some of the heavy driveways and entrances around the site. About 33,000 square feet of sidewalk and 8,400 lineal feet of curb around the job site. Right. So this is a paving section of Orr Road. The project does include some paving along Orr Road, the public road that's going to travel around the north to the west side of the project. 76-foot right-of-way on that Orr Road with multi-use paths on each side, 12-foot multi-use paths, landscaping band. Then you've got your gutter, 12-foot travel lanes. That travel lane has 9 inches of AB and then 6 inches of asphalt on it, and then some vertical curb and a median with some more landscaping on the inside of that, and then geotextile underneath it, which would also be the responsibility of the Division 32 subcontractor for doing the surfacing and paving. So the next package is Division 3231. Or work category 3231, I apologize, for chain link fence and gates. We have 3 major categories of chain link fence and gates around the site. You have your standard chain link fence. That's the green line in the southeast corner of the plant, about 530 lineal feet of that. Cable guardrail, there's 2 styles of cable guardrail that amount to about 1,500 lineal feet of cable guardrail, largely on top of some of the retaining walls that go around the site. And then we have about 1,100 feet of decorative fence, and that decorative fence is the stuff shown in the red lines. The decorative fence is that image on the bottom left. So you've got a 8-foot tall picket fence with concrete footings. Division or work category 3290 for landscaping is a fairly large scope, has got a number of elements in it. Like we mentioned a little bit earlier, irrigation is a delegated design, and I say that's partial delegated design. A delineated portion of the landscaping area is going to be delegated. The remainder of the irrigation on the site is fully engineered and developed, so it'd just be a portion of that irrigation that would be the responsibility of the subcontractor to finish out. Landscaping would also include all of the vegetation, the planting, trees, shrubs, grass. I'll show you a little bit more on that on the next slide. There's a forest platform, which is a fully delegated design. A little bit more on that later. Benches, bicycle racks, trash receptacles, those outdoor furnishings. There's some gravel surfacing. Landscape boulders. There's a number of landscape boulders that go around the administration building in particular. Those are granite boulders that are largely going to be sourced from when we do our blasting on site. Our blasting subcontractor is going to be responsible for grabbing a couple of those granite boulders, basalt boulders, and setting them to the side for later on use for landscape boulders, as well as some of the masonry walls around the site. A little bit of concrete pavers around the administration building, and then once that vegetation is in and planted, there's a maintenance period that would also be responsible of the landscape subcontractor. So this is a overall image of the planting plan for the site. So it covers the main plant area, plus the section along Orr Drive. And then there's some improvements going all the way down 124th Avenue that we're responsible for. So there's a number of trees that are going to get planted along 124th as well. And then on the bottom left-hand side is our storage yard, where we'll be setting up our trailers and employee parking. And then around the perimeter of that as well is some restoration planting, as well as some additional shrubs and plants. Takeoff for the vegetation on site, we've got about 300 trees, 500 large shrubs, 21,000 small shrubs, and about 180,000 square feet of grass to be installed around the site. So this is some images of the forest platform that we're looking at for the site. So this forest platform is looking over the Kolk pond that's on the southeast corner of the plant. Really southeast corner of the plant, right outside the administration building. So it's a FRP deck supported by steel structure. and it will overlook that area. So this is a delegated design. It's got a canopy that'll shade some of that area, so that people can go out there and take a look at the forest and the geologic Hulk pond in that area. Like I mentioned, this is going to be a delegated design, so the subcontractor is going to be responsible for all of the structural design on this forest platform, including the stamp by the registered professional engineer in the state of Oregon.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Jared. So that kind of concludes our review of the site work. And again, we're gonna once we're done with this meeting, we're gonna upload this this video up to the Our Reliable website for future reference, and we'll be sure to reach out to vendors, keep in contact over the following month and year, to just keep everyone up to breast of when things are going. There's a possibility that possibly that some of these work packages may bid out sooner than dates we had shown earlier, mainly depending on the progress of the project as well as design progresses and we had a better understanding of the project as things are going along. We may need to bid some of these scopes out sooner than later. But we'll make sure that we reach out to everyone accordingly, and also as well as advertise within the local venues and local newspapers to be able to make sure that everyone's kept up, understands accordingly. And we'll also keep any updates on the Our Reliable website for your review. So with that said, we're going to move over to open discussion and questions. Anybody? All right. Well, I did forget to mention at the very beginning, if you could, please leave your contact information in the chat box of this meeting, and we'll make sure that we get you added to all correspondence going out further. And we look forward to working with you. I appreciate it. Thank you.